of Africa.
Nigeria we want.
Our fatherland.
Where's Nigeria?
The Nigeria we want. With Vicky O Show. Yeah, me show the moon. Wale your light on. Elvin say what shuku. The Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria. On Vicky O Show. Every Saturday.
The Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria.
Giant of Africa.
Nigeria we want.
Our fatherland.
Great Nigeria.
Hello, good day, everyone. It's evening time here. It's just past 10. You are welcome to the Nigeria We Want show. It's always good to be back here. We have a great show planned for this evening. And why is that? Today being the 2nd of October, every 1st of October, we celebrate the independence of Nigeria. And you know what? It's been 61 years. 61 years that we have our independence from British. And yes, we do celebrate. And there's been some questions. Why are we celebrating? What is there to celebrate? You know, you look at the structure, you look at everything. Is anything to celebrate? We will be talking a lot about all that this evening. We will answer as much as we can, some of the questions that we've received. So we have a special guest of honor, Chief, with us this evening. But before I bring the panelists and our guest panelists onto the show, we need to appreciate the sponsor of today's show, Provision GSH Plus. Check them out. How is your energy? Do you struggle with having restful sleep? How is your immune system? Do you struggle with stress, concentration, and mental fatigue? GSH Plus is your answer. It's the answer that you need, because the ingredients contained in GSH Plus formula may support your immune system, optimize your strength and energy, and it can empower your daily living. Provision GSH Plus can be ordered through the link we've provided. That's about Provision GSH Plus. Dave sponsored today's show. If you need any of their products, you only need to send an email to vickyshow@gmail.com. It's simple, and we will get you into connection with those in charge of it. The second business is Capstone Medical Center. They've been a sponsor from day one, and they continue to sponsor the show. Check them out. Hello, 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 everyone. Good evening and good morning. Is it still morning with you, Egbon? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Egbon, Wale, please.
Good
Okay, Wale, I can hear you.
good morning from here. Good morning from here.
Good morning
Good
from your
morning.
head.
Good morning, Chief. Good morning, Wale.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning, Yemi. Good
Hello,
morning,
Good
everyone.
morning, Doc.
Yemi. Yeah, good evening, Wale and Vicky.
Thank
And
you, thank you.
I think Elvis is just coming on.
Yes, joined
Okay.
us now. So it's good to have you back, Chief.
Thank you
Uh,
so much. Yeah.
Yes, we are going to have enough time this evening, so we are not gonna. We're just gonna go straight to what we're doing tonight, and all our viewers all around the world, we want to welcome you to the show this evening. I kept on saying this evening; it's not evening for some of them, but we are all dressed up this evening. You see, mm? I
I'm
love
yet
the
to
dress up part.
I'm yet to hear you say hello to Saint Elvis.
St. Elvis. Igbo Kwenu, my brother.
Yeah.
Hey, Igbo Kwezono. Igbo Kwezo, Igbo Karaka.
I don't know what else to say. I just know how to say Igbo Kwenu. You're welcome. You're welcome. So it's good to dress up. Yes, we've gone to Nigeria. I tried few tonight, so I eventually settled for this one. So yes, this evening is full on. But before we go into it, we're just gonna make this very brief, very brief. What is trending? And let's start with Chief because Chief was here with us last week, so he knows what this is all about. So what is trending for you? Let's just go around 30 seconds each. Chief, please.
Can you let my other device in? I
the
just want to
time
log
the
out
time
on this
starts
one,
now.
please.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I've got two things, but I will only say one because of time. What is trending for me is a landmark bill that the Senate passed last Tuesday, or it's called the Anti-Sexual Harassment Bill. A bill that will restore, I would say, sanity and ethical standard in our tertiary institutions.
Exactly.
You could recall documentary made by BBC about three lecturers, So the bill was sponsored by the Deputy Senate President, Ovie Omo Agege, I think so, and another 106 senators. So it was a good one for me. Any offender is taking 14 years imprisonment.
Wow.
But I want to stress that it has good support, except that ASU, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, wasn't really in support because they felt it's biased and it's going to stigmatize their members. But to me, it is something that is very good happening, in Nigeria at this point in time. I think my 30 seconds is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. And I think I'll just go straight to mine, then we move to Wale. Dr. Akinluyi, I call him Akinluyi. It's not Akinluyi. Dora's husband. Akunyele, sorry. Yeah. That was gunned down by unknown gunmen. That was so sad hearing that, a woman that served the country, that did all that she could to fix some of our problems, and her husband was treated that way. I mean, just imagine a medical doctor, the loss to the people where his clinic is. That would have been a great loss. That's a brilliant mind just taken away like that. And that is scary, and they call the person unknown gunmen. Um, but it is scary. I mean, for us overseas in diaspora that who want to go home, visit home, and things like that just bring us back to reality. How safe are we really? So to me, and that was just probably 2 days before the 1st of October. I mean, so yeah, Wale, please.
Yeah, I'll say mine because what is trending for me is mostly around the Independence Day and all the discussions around that. So I will just keep that to myself for now, and then when we get back to the proper discussion, then we can talk more.
All right,
So,
Elvis.
Vicky, I'm not gonna waste our time. Somehow you managed to jump into my brain, and you said everything I wanted to say. So my what's trending is around the news. To say you said.
You're breaking up.
Is that me?
Yes, you're breaking up. We couldn't hear you very well.
Oh, right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right. I said there's no. You already shared what I had in my thoughts to
okay.
share. It's around the
All right.
death of Dara's husband a few days
Okay.
ago. Yeah. So you said it all. There's nothing more to add.
All right. Thank you for that. Egbon.
Well, things trending, yes. And two of those things have been mentioned here today. I must tell you that what is unfortunately trending for me is the fact that we continue to shed innocent blood in this country. Dr. Akayole, that you mentioned, is one of the most unfortunate things that have happened in this country. And it also brings back the fact that we've had quite a number of people whose life has been cut short, and yet they are victims of unknown killers till today. The list is almost getting endless. It is a shame. I feel very sad, and that is putting it mildly. I feel very sad about it. The picture of that man lying in his pool of blood has refused to leave my brain, and we are probably talking about him. Unfortunately, we're probably talking about him because he has a name. There are a lot of other victims who have been silenced. I do not feel proud to share this, but
What happened to Egbon? All right. So to all our viewers, we have a few people watching us. To all our viewers, we would like to say, if you're based in Nigeria, we have a gift, because when we celebrate birthdays, there's always a souvenir that we share around. So the souvenir, Wale, can you pick up?
okay.
Thanks, Egbon. So sorry. All right. So there's always souvenir to be shared around. So we have a souvenir to give to to our viewers that are in Nigeria. 500 naira worth of airtime. And if you're watching us, just make a comment, whether on the Vicky O Show site or on the show that you're watching it on right now, the site that you're watching it right now, and we will get the airtime across to you. Everyone, I mean, if you're in Nigeria and you're watching and you're interested in getting the airtime, just make a comment. I'm here, or your name, and we will be in touch. So when everyone comes back, we will get him to share what is trending. So let's go straight into today's show. Wale Olaiton. We can hear you.
Thank you very much. Tonight we're discussing Nigeria at 61. Is the Independence Day worth celebrating? A bit of a background. On 1st January 1960, the Union Jack was lowered and Nigerians green, white, green emerged as a sign of the new independence nation. The new independent nation started well with many promises, potentials to be a great nation. With high hopes in the land and across the globe, Nigeria was rightfully referred to as the Diana of Africa. What went wrong? What are we really celebrating? So tonight we'll be exploring, that important topic. And then we've got our regular panelists, and we're happy to have Chief Okaro, back with us tonight. So I will go straight to that discussion. And what we to start with, I want to. This is going to be more like brainstorming, if I may put it that way, among the panel, just for us to be able to share, different ideas and more interact more better. So what the first thing I want us to explore is that what is our earliest memories of the Independence Day? And I'll start with Chief Okaro. What are your earliest memories of Nigeria's Independence Day celebration? Unmute, Chief.
Thank you, Wale, for the question. Look, I was born and brought up in Nigeria, so I like I always say, I've got fond memories of Independence Day. We usually look forward to it. The march past, the preparations, for the march past, the competitions in terms of sports. But what really, I can't really forget is the after celebration party. We used to call it disco those days, So it's really when I think the going was good. There was safety everywhere. Security was top notch. You go anywhere you want to go. So when you are selected to participate in the march past, it means either you're a neat student or you know how to do march past. So it's normally done in stadia, and you have the local government chairman, depending on your school, or the governor of the state taking salute. So it was really a thing of joy. It was really those days that when you call celebrating freedom, people we usually look forward to celebrating, Independence Day. So I still vividly remember that, how it happened, all the preparations that we put into it, students, whether you are in the primary school or you are in the secondary school or even universities, it's a day off for everyone, public holiday that we really look forward to. So yes, it's really something that I cherish so much. Whether the meaning still remains to this day, maybe that's what we have to be discussing today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Okaro, and welcome back, Yemi. So you haven't missed much. You were giving us your what is trending. So what is trending? Hello.
I'm with you.
I can hear you, Wale.
So I will come back to you, Edmond, just for you to complete what is trending for you, and then to go straight to your earliest memories of Independence Day. what can you recall? As far as I remember, I think you were born in 1960, if I remember, from what I've seen and what I've
I'm actually a few months older than Nigeria.
A few months older than yes. Okay,
yes.
So what are your
Nigeria,
earliest memories?
Nigeria actually should call me Badayemi.
Okay, so the concluding part of what is trending for you, Egbon.
Yes. Okay, let me make that very brief. I was saying that man's death is being discussed because he has a name. There are quite a number of others whose life have been snuffed out by unknown gunmen and through a lot of other ways and all that. It's very unfortunate. It's not something that I'm proud to put out there. It's not something that I want to scare those in the diaspora about, because even with that situation, Nigeria still probably fares better than a number of other places. However, we need to stop shedding innocent blood in this country. I am of the opinion that for as long as we do that, we may not move forward the way we should. We may not move forward the way we should. And this, of course, calls on government to be up and doing, to be truthful, particularly with information. But let me leave that there. The other thing, however, is that we have this paternity leave being dangled for parents here now. That's for men. The president has put his pen to paper, so we now have paternity leave. I guess we are still trying to work it out for those who have the whole harem. How many times they will need to go on paternity leave in a year? However, so that is that. But let's come to independence so that we can move forward. I obviously was very young. Just as I said, I'm a few months older. So I obviously was still a toddler. But I'm going to share a bit of experience because I had about 2 different radio programs over the week. And I asked for people of that age bracket, people who are old enough to be conscious of what was happening during independence. I asked for their views. And I'll tell you one thing that was, one trendy thing in there was that they all ate rice. They all ate rice. They all had gifts. They all had flags, little flags that they were carrying. And they were all excited about the march past. Quite a number of them saw the prominent figures during that time. The Azikwe, Awolowo, Sadauna, etc. They saw all that. And life was a bit laid back. There wasn't this level of tension that we have right now. And they enjoyed themselves generally. Some actually told me that cows were brought to their schools to be slaughtered, cooked, and shared to them. And people took containers. The amount of rice you got at that time depended on the container you brought. And people shared joy. People were not particular about you being from a part of the country or from another part of the country. Discrimination was almost at zero level, but they had a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun, and now let me bring it to yesterday. I was on air, and also that's on radio, and of course along the line I did a bit of lamentations about what the general situation was. But I'll tell you, when I stepped out and I had to drive past the stadium, that's MKO Abiola Stadium in Abeokuta, I saw adults and the young ones, and they were all excited. I mean, looking excited, let me put it that way. I'm trying to juxtapose maybe a bit of my reservations with what I saw out there. There were unions and groups of associations who were decked in their customized t-shirts, who were obviously excited about the fact that, one, it was a public holiday, two, they've been called on to do a march past at the stadium, and the students were there. They were all looking excited. What I'm saying in essence is that Nigerians have a way of temporarily pushing back their sorrows, their depression, and going out there to celebrate. Nigerians can do that. So when I was putting on my agbada today, I saw myself in their shoes. Not to mind the fact that I was actually just following instructions. You want to ask yourself, what exactly are you celebrating? But we're celebrating life. We're celebrating the fact that we are still here, and we are celebrating the fact that there is a hope for tomorrow. We are celebrating the fact that the powers upstairs, up there, would listen to our wailings, would listen to our pleadings, and touch the hearts of our leaders to do things right. And of course, touch the hearts of the citizens as well to do what is right so that we can move on. Let me leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Egmoyemi. I'll move to Elvis. And Elvis, you and I, we were in a forum, earlier today, and we had, the Nigerian High Commissioner to Australia was in that, in the forum. Well, it was an online forum, so let me clarify that. So, part of that was discussed at that forum was, what are we really celebrating, and what is the need for that celebration? So I'll put that to you, Elvis. What is your take on that argument, for and against? What is your take on that? What are we really celebrating? Is there anything worth celebrating?
Well, Wale, to put it in perspective, honestly, I think at this stage, what I can put my fingers on to say we're celebrating will be the fact that despite all the trials, despite all the negativities, all the problems, insecurity, and so many other things that have occurred and still occurring in Nigeria, somehow we still manage to hold it together. Somehow, in reality, we're still a nation, one nation. I mean, if you look at some of our neighboring countries, if you look at, for instance, Liberia, you look at Sierra Leone, and a few others around that region where, we've had some turmoil. So we've had, even to the extent of fighting civil wars. If you look at what triggered those wars in those countries, you will find it's not even up to 1/10 of the issues we have had in Nigeria. And somehow, miraculously, we're still holding our heads high. We're still that one indivisible nation. That's the only thing I can say, that we're celebrating at this, we're celebrating at this moment, despite all odds, despite everything. We haven't had a breakout of war. We our people are still together and suffering and smiling, put it that way. But overall, that's all I can say that is worth celebrating at this stage. And the hope that we have as the ambassador mentioned today, that things will, there'll be a light, a bright light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully something good will happen, and we'll come out of it unscathed, and we will still continue to remain one indivisible nation. Other than that, Wale, to be honest, there's nothing I can place my fingers on to say, yes, this is what we should be celebrating. Yeah, that's it. Let me leave it at that for now.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're still going to get into really serious kind of discussions. We're doing more like a rehearsal just now. I'll go to Dr. Vicky now.
Wale, sorry. I didn't get the opportunity to share my early childhood memories as well.
Yeah, okay, share that, and I want to hear that from Dr. Vicky as well. Share your march past stories.
Okay, I'll be quick about it. Chief at Miami have laid it bare, and but just to add, for me, the other day I was having a conversation with my wife, and I said to her, "Oh, look, I miss my childhood." And part of my childhood I miss is also this discussion we're having today, my early childhood memories of the Independence Day celebration. Now, I did this in of course two stages, when I was in the primary school and also when I got into the secondary school. In the primary school, yes, as Chief alluded to, and Egbo as well, when you're looking forward to the day you'll be selected to participate in the march past, which somehow I always made it to the team, and will represent the school in that regard. So it was something we really used to look forward to. It was fun times for us as children, and we also got the opportunity of seeing these important dignitaries, because usually, as Chief said as well, this was in Lagos back in the days, typically will be at the national at the stadium. And then when I got into the secondary school as well, we took it a notch further. I attended a military secondary school, and you have all the top military brass come in and take the salutes. And of course, I also participated in not only the march past this time, in the gymnastics competition. I used to partake in that. So all of these were really fun memories, and that's where the days of glory in Nigeria, put it that way, and it was really fun when we experienced those times.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Vicky. Your memories about Independence Day. On mute, please.
All right. So there is something that I want to share, that every time I listen to this, it just takes me back to my younger years listening to this. So join me.
Arise, O compact tribe, Nigeria's call obey, to serve our fatherland.
I mean, each time I listen to that, it gives me goosebumps. Each time I listen to that, it takes me back to my younger years. And, when we're able to actually listen to the words of that anthem, uh, it speaks a lot. It should speak to us more and should take us back to where we all started from. The labor of our heroes past. Oh my goodness. The labor shall not be in vain. We look at what is going on around now. What should be our conclusion? The person that composed this, I mean, to me, every time I listen to this, it's just like, the kind of feeling that you get when you remember something from your younger years. I was cooking this afternoon, and the curry. I'm not sure if you guys know about cooking much. There's a curry and thyme. Those two together that my mom were using since I was little. As I held the thyme and the curry in my hand, I'm like, oh my goodness. There's that, that feeling like, oh, when I was younger, I used to watch mom cook with this. Look at this. It's the same thing, listening to that. And every time I listen to that anthem, it gives me goosebumps. It brings tears to my eyes. I'm not sure about you, but for me, it's the part that I remember, at the stadium representing my school, and I always represented my school from primary to secondary. So standing there in the stadium, trying to do my part to represent the school really well, and your white socks, pure white. T-shirt, pure white, and everything very clean, and standing there with my hand on my chest and singing this anthem. Man, it's something that I can't forget. And when I listened to that, somebody posted that yesterday, and I'm like, oh my goodness, oh, I love this feeling. At the same time, it's also, when you now listen to it, you look at what is going on, and it just brings this not nice feeling. That's about my younger years. What was the second question, Wiley?
You've answered the first question, and it's more about memories, about early memories about the Independence Day. So I will come back to you later. Let me share my side of the story as well. I grew up in a town called Adodo, in Adodo, a local government area of Ogun State. I was a puppy at UMC Primary School, Eleja. It was a missionary school, United African Methodist Church. So in the last few days, I've deliberately enjoyed that story, not to think so much about Nigeria and all the issues. I've tried to look at it from the eyes of a 6-7-year-old or 9-year-old going for march past and trying to go and play soccer to celebrate independence. And I did that just for me to appreciate my journey, my own personal journey, from that very humble beginning to where life has taken me, and all the journey around that, and the fun around that patriotism. And I remember one of the, as a child, I grew up under military rule. One of the most important things I remember clearly is just my obsession with military and all the ranks and insignias that I memorized until today. I can still tell you, a eagle, one eagle, one sisters is a major general, one this is this. Just that obsession with military officers coming around during the Independence Day for salute or whatever. These are the things I've been thinking about, those good memories that I've been thinking about in recent days. I'll move to Shiva Carol now, and we want to go
Wale,
into.
Wale, can I just we need
Okay,
to
go ahead, Dr. Vicky.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can you remind our viewers to make a comment about where they're watching us from and to share? So
Okay.
regularly do that as we go.
Okay, please. We encourage our viewers wherever you are, make comments, as you watch us live, share as much as possible. We have airtime, just as when we do birthdays, you get some, gifts and prizes. So Dr. Vicky, is giving out, airtime to viewers. So please do share and comments, and then you'll be, a potential winner.
No.
Of the airtime. So let's get serious now, Shiva Caro. So without our good old days, people like you and much other people will talk about the good old days, without our own challenges. But let's talk about, as a nation, our early achievements, those things that we achieved as a nation that made people think, wow, this is going to be the giant of Africa. This is going to be the pride of Black people, globally. What are your recollections about those good old days? And I want you to talk that in the context of achievements in whatever areas that you can remember. Shiva Caro, yeah. On mood, please.
Thank you, Wale, for the question. I think we are slowly getting into the crux of the matter, because today we're going to be talking about independence. Am I right? Yeah, but
yes.
Now you asked about the achievements, in Nigeria that I remember. Look, they are numerous. There are lots and lots of achievements when I was growing up. I will start with the conscious effort that our leaders made, our political leaders made, conscious effort to keep Nigeria together. You will be seeing it in the way they talk, in the manner they act. It's very visible, very obvious that they really wanted that entity called Nigeria to be together. Whether I'm seeing it today, I'm not too sure about that. Now, you look at the way the conservatism, the way they manage resources, resource management in areas of finance, how they look after our commonwealth, our national wealth. You will see that they have a vision for a country. And those are the days when we were called the giant of Africa, But immediately after the Civil War, things started going not the way our leaders wanted it to go, but it started going the wrong direction. Why was that? Because there was the lack of trust. Most of the ethnic groups, the main tribes, started lacking that trust, that cohesiveness that keeps a country together. People started mismanaging those resources, and they were in abundance. Look, Wale, I still remember that if you have 10 kobo or 5 kobo or 2 kobo, you will buy a lot of things in the market. Today, nobody is talking about kobo because it has lost its value. Yeah, I think it's extinct. Kobo is no longer of any value. But I remember those days with 1 kobo, you will buy frozen ice cream, frozen juice. And I so much used to enjoy those days. Now, coming to what Nigeria has achieved, both nationally and internationally, Nigeria was that country that keeps and tried to keep Africa together. If you come to West Africa, they are always there. when apartheid was there, Nigeria was among the top African countries that was helping out. Peacekeeping in any African country, Nigeria will always be there. That's when cohesiveness, when you talk about unity, that's when unity was there. You know, you see leaders that are very sensitive to the plight of the people. You see leaders that are conscious, okay, of the things that they do, of the things that they say. These days, leaders just stand up and say anything, not minding what they say, you know. But Nigeria was really one of those big brothers, big brother to African countries, big brother to all the countries in West Africa. Now, Nigeria was really achieving a lot. In terms of oil production, the refineries were all working. The refineries were all working. Today, what are we seeing? Where our oil, the crude oil, will be sent abroad for refining, and then they send it back to Nigeria. You know, it's really sad when you remember those good old days. It's really sad. You know, Nigeria was actually working. I take it that it could be the glory or the relics of colonialism, because the colonialists taught our founding fathers how to manage resources, how to be conservative. We were our brother's keeper. There was, you know, the quest for self-aggrandizement wasn't there. It wasn't there. Even if it was, people were still conservative. You know, they conserve. They know what they are reasonable. They are sensible. But these days, the quest for material wealth is going beyond. It's unfathomable. You can't really understand it. I try to put a meaning to it. I can't. Our educational system those days was really top-notch. The salaries were worth it. Workers were paid salaries timely, because the leaders know that that's what their families depend on. These days, we don't have all those things. Salaries are not paid. Even when they are paid, they are not paid on time. Naira was having value. I remember in 1984, I think, $1 was about, is it 77 kobo? Or 1983 or something. $1 was about 77 kobo. Okay? Until a military, you know, junta came in and ousted a democratically elected government.
I have to stop you there,
yes.
Chief. I have to temporarily stop you there, and I will come back, you know, later. Yeah. I go through the panel just to get a sense of some of these memories. There are good old days in terms of socio-economic kind of development, and I'll go to Yemi. What do you want to share with us in terms of your memories about the good old days, you know, mostly around socio-economic development? And if you could talk about, you know, First Tax 77 and all that, some of, you know, the Festival of Art and Culture in 1977.
Thank you, Wale. Permit me to just quickly mention to touch on one or two things that was said earlier. And the first one, Vicky, I share the emotions about the national anthem. It gives me the same feeling. But I must also say that I've had the opportunity of interacting with quite a number of elders over the past few days via my platform. And I can tell you that they are very, very nostalgic about the former national anthem, the old national anthem, Nigeria, we held it. And I mean very nostalgic. I don't know if one should ask Chief, he will probably be able to give you his own reaction to it as well. But that as it may, we have this present one, and I love it. Another quick one, Chief, you mentioned the bill about the sexual harassment thing. Well, it's long expected, long awaited. My only prayer, and maybe fear now, is that I hope lazy students will
They
not
won't
capitalize on
misuse
that.
it.
I hope they will not capitalize on that. I've not read that bill, but I sincerely hope it contains a section too that deals with top government officials who will ship these young girls from their campuses to their parties, their private parties, without the consent of their parents. I don't know whether that clause is in that bill, but that's just by the way. Now coming to Wale, coming to the question, Wale, I want to say this without any reservations, and I stand to be corrected or challenged. One of the greatest errors we made in this country is not to have allowed Chief Obafemi Awolowo to rule this country. One of the greatest errors we've made. And it's not just him. There are people of that quality that you can find in the East, that you can find in the North, that we have managed to keep out of power at the federal level. And we are still doing it right now via our political system, the present party system. Because I keep saying it, the best hands from these parties that we have presently will not emerge via the process that we have in place to even contest, not to talk of rule or get into positions of authority to correct our anomalies. They won't get there. They won't get there via primaries. The best hands won't. They need, you need to be like some others for you to get there. But back to the scenario we were looking at. When I look at the Western region, for instance, the educational system that was in place was well thought out, well pursued, well funded, and those behind it had, I don't want to sound religious, maybe had the fear of the Lord in them, but they were purposeful. The less privileged were thought of. We had the free education system, for instance. The less privileged people were thought of. Equal opportunities was offered to the young ones to be educated. I don't know what would have been the situation if we did not have such a policy in place there. Because quite a lot of people who are in top positions now were products of that system. And that was the Nigeria we had. The Nigeria we had then had agriculture as a fulcrum, as on the front burner. We produced what we ate. There were farm settlements around. Government funded this. And produce from such settlements and the encouragement of the average farmer. We were proud to get things out of our farms onto our tables. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that is what we had now. But these were situations. Now, roads were tarred. I can tell you that in the Southwest till today, there are still roads that were tarred by the administration of maybe Obafemi Awolowo then, or the Western region government, that have lasted, have outlived roads that are being constructed in recent times. And they're still there. That was, just as Chief said, management of resources, truthfulness, trustworthiness in public office. We had that. We had that. Those who went into our legislative houses went there with a purpose. They knew they were representing people. That is not to say that we did not have bad eggs then. But the good ones obviously outnumbered the bad ones. And the results are there to go to the east. Go up north. The results are there to be seen. But the moment we went on a self-fulfilling trips, things went down south. And we started running into trouble. That is the situation that we have. And I listened to speeches, and I listened to a recent one. And when you see through some lines, you can see that we are yet to be honest with ourselves. When we start comparing mediocrity with another, justifying that a level of mediocrity is superior to another, then there's a problem. There is a huge problem. But let me stop at that.
I'll pause you there, Gwan. Thanks so much for that. I quickly go to Elvis and Dr. Vicky just to share their own, views around what they know about Nigeria when Nigeria was working and their memories of achievements, of Nigeria. Elvis, what can you recall?
Yeah, Wally, just to add to Chief's and the Bonds posits, in the area of achievement, I know back in the days I was still little then. I used to hear stories of the granite pyramid of the north, the cocoa in the south, the coal in the east. And this was before the advent of the crude oil. I think that's where we lost it. Once we discovered the crude oil, just like the US with the global financial crisis, they knew there was a problem, but they felt America was too big to fail. We all know the story, what happened in the end. We discovered the oil, and then we let go all of these other avenues that we naturally benefited from, and we could eke a living out of, just like Egmont mentioned here. We were self-sufficient, put it that way. I'm not sure what I was 2 days ago. Who was I having a conversation with? And I remember how we could actually have a big brekkie with five naira. This is a family of 6. My father, my mother, and 3 other siblings, including myself. We'll have a proper breakfast. There's nothing you won't find on that table. Because what started that conversation was how someone said, I think it was my wife that asked me, oh, do you know how much they sell sardine in Nigeria? And I say it's 300 naira. She goes, how do you know? I said, well, I know. I think I saw it on Facebook or somewhere. That's how much sardine costs now. I mean, your coins, the kobo, as Chief mentioned here, has gone into oblivion. You can't find it. You can't find it anywhere anymore. Those were the days where 50 kobo, our naira, our money had really good value. Those were the days. I mean, I can still recall, well, in 1982, I think it was 82 or 1980, my father bought a brand new Mazda 929, 14,000 naira. 1982, 14,000, tear rubber, tear leather. You and I know how much, in today's parlance, how much, and it is equivalent of that sort of car will cost in the marketplace today. You mentioned Festac 77. I was raised in Festac. I grew up in Festac town.
Okay.
And that was, you know, after the arts festival, that was at the point where Nigeria even had something close to the semblance of a mortgage, you know, like mortgage system of acquiring a property. I know my father bought his, but I know a lot of families who, you know, just went into a ballots because we used to call it, we categorize them. You had those in, you know, in your units, in your apartments were 2 naira houses. You had some for 5 naira, then 10 naira. As it increased, the houses became, you know, were bigger. So your 2 naira house, people played that ballot with 2 naira wali, and they won. Some played with 5 naira, they won, and they were meant to pay for these properties over a period of, say, 30 years, like that, like a sort of mortgage. And you came into some of these houses, Wally, they were furnished apartments, they had telephones. I mean, what happened to landline in Nigeria? That's gone. There's nothing like landline anymore in Nigeria. It's gone. Nitel is gone. I mean, in Festac town, Wally, I mean, I'm talking about the days where power was constant. You know, even when you didn't have power, we had standby generators, automatic, that will kick up. Well, if you lived on the 3rd floor of the house, you had pipe-borne water come straight to your house at the 3rd floor. Now, I don't even know that we have you know, government supplied water in any part of Nigeria. I do not know. I can't say for certain. That's all gone. Yeah. And when you talked about good roads, I remember days Sam Mbakwe, chief here knows Sam Mbakwe, in the east, and you put it just succinctly, you put it correctly when you say the roads that were built then have actually outlived the ones that are done in this current day Nigeria. The roads built by Sam Mbakwe are still, you know, a lot of them are still there.
Was he Imo State governor at the time?
Yeah, he was the governor.
Oh, Imo,
okay. He was the governor at the time. You know, think about the likes of Jakonde. Who can forget Jakonde in Lagos State? I mean, what happened to this caliber of leaders? Again, as Chief said, you know, that was before people were going into public service with the genuine heart, the good intention to actually serve and not for personal aggrandizement. I don't know how Jakonde, you know, how many estates you go to Mile 2, you go to Yanopaja, you go to all of these places, Jakonde estates everywhere. So yeah, these were the good old days. You know, unfortunately, these things are not here with us anymore. I mean, I can go on. So
I want to pause you there.
Really good old days, and a lot of it. Let me just round up. A lot of it was tied to the fact that people were honest. People were in public service with the heart of gold, with the heart to serve. But today the story is different.
Dr. Vicky, early memories, you know, of Nigeria, good things you remember in whatever area, education, sports, whatever comes to your mind that you want to share with us.
I have so much to share. Growing up, I remember my dad buying new cars upon new cars. You know, I remember when he bought Rio, Volkswagen Rio, and then for brand new, you know, Jaroba, what do you call it? The brand new. I remember having real breakfast, you know, when you have yam and egg and tea and coffee and all that. I remember, you know, when my parents would buy a whole cow and, you know, have it portioned in the freezer, a big freezer, a whole, you know, bags of beans, bags of rice, bags of this, bags of that. You know, I remember all these things. What happened? what happened? And I remember when my dad shared his own story with us, because my dad, he loved to share stories, and he would sit us down. He would tell us about when he was in Unilag, and they will feed them. You know, they go to the cafeteria for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner, and they also paid them when it was at Unilag, and gradually that was taken off the table, and all that kind of stuff. So, good old days. But I still remember that during all those times, I listened to my parents talking about good old days, like we talked about last week, when they have all the stories to share. And by the time they were telling us these stories, they realized that things were going down. Now we are sharing this story based on our own experiences, and to those that are listening to us right now in Nigeria, they're watching and saying, "Oh my goodness, things are so bad." But we have something to compare it with, and that is what we're talking about here. Wale.
Wale, we can't hear you. You can't mute.
Sorry, yeah. Thanks so much, Dr. Vicky. So I go to Shiva Karo now. Shiva Karo, you mentioned something earlier about trust, and I want to take you back to between 1967 to 1970. Nigeria went through a civil war, the so-called the Biafran War, and the reality of it that today, there are still echoes of that war across different parts of the country, and more specifically, the Igbo nation is still being persecuted for what happened. 1967 to that was about the war ended about 51 years ago. And I don't want to put you on the spot. As an Igbo man, how do you see the Igbo nation in the context of modern day Nigeria? And how will you address the issue of trust? You mentioned it briefly earlier in terms of the trust and the civil war in general. Shiva Karo.
Yeah, thank you again, Wale, for the question. Look, there are, I would say, so many versions of what caused the Civil War, but I wouldn't want to go into it. But the war has been fought and was declared no victor, no vanquished. That was okay. And after the war, they came up with the 3 R's. I think reconstruction, rehabilitation, and reintegration. I think that's what the 3 R's mean. What they wanted to achieve then was to reintegrate the Igbos into Nigeria, to reconstruct all the damaged properties in the Igbo land, and of course, rehabilitate people. Whether that promise was achieved is highly questionable. What sometimes, and I think most of us and viewers will share this with me, is that you cannot beat a child and then tell that child not to cry. It doesn't happen. And that is what is happening in Nigeria today. The Igbos were beaten, and Nigeria is telling them not to cry. That's where the mistrust started. You see, immediately after the Civil War, properties belonging to Igbos were seized and taken over by the government. If it is the government that really wants to reconcile, there are ways that such things should have been done. After the Civil War, all the bank accounts of all Igbos were frozen. all Igbos. I remember my dad telling me the story and shedding tears while he was narrating that for me, because he lost all his savings. And what he was given was only 20 pounds out of all the money that he had in the bank. If he were to be alive today and you're telling him of unity and trust, there is no way that he will look you in the face and not blast you. The point is, Igbos are not being treated well. I'm talking about the tribe that I came from. They are not being treated well. There are deep-seated hatred and animosity in Nigeria. And that's one of the things that has been causing issues. In the last show, I made mention of every government has got its problems. But you see, what we are having today is a situation where, like I said, you beat a child and you tell the child not to cry. Igbos are really seeing themselves as being marginalized. I am not the mouthpiece of Igbos, but I'm telling you what my dad told me when he was alive. May his soul rest in peace. He told me, and he made that forecast, and I think he's getting it wrong. He's getting it right. He got it right. He told me that there will never be a time that Nigerians will see themselves with love. Whether we like it or not, we have to tell ourselves the truth. Every Nigerian is tribalistic in nature. And that is why the point, this is the weapon that the government is using against any civil disobedience that comes up. Immediately they put in tribe into it. Everybody is like the Bible says, to your tent sow Israel. Everybody will go back to their tribe. The Igbos have lost a lot, but they still persevere. The simplest thing that a government will do is to reconcile what has happened in the past. And I will say this is an international program. I will tell you this. There is no way that peace, unity, and trust will be in Nigeria if those people that killed over 3 million people, 3 million Igbos, still walk the streets of Nigeria free. At least, let us get an apology to say, we are sorry for killing your people. Personally, I lost a lot of important men and women, relatives of mine, in that war. I still feel sad. And I will tell you, the truth is, there is no trust in Nigeria. We are just patching. You know, somebody will say, Anna Pajonelik, like we had last time. That's what's happening. We are just patching. We are just pretending that things are good. We need to have a national discussion on that civil war because the wound is still very fresh in my heart. I didn't witness it, but my father told me the story, and the wound is still very fresh. How can you be marginalizing a people and you're telling them straight in their faces that you're not going to do anything? It is very sad that we are discussing an Independence Day today when we know that we have lost the trust. We need to go back because there are fundamental issues that need to be treated. I will leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Chief Okaro, and thanks for sharing your personal story with the souls of the loved ones lost in that war. May their souls rest in peace. Thanks again. So I'll go to Yemi now, and I just looking at the time, we're having a very intense discussion. Look, we want to move into the role of the khaki boys, the role they play in the current socio-economic problems that we have in Nigeria. Because no matter the way we look at it, we became independent in 1960. By 1966, they took us during the Civil War in 1967. And then we had this period, one military man to another, from Gowon to Moritala and all that. Can we really, in true conscience, discuss most of our socio-political issues in Nigeria without really discussing the role played by the military? The khaki boys, would they really mess things up, Egbon Yemi?
It's I won't say that it's a daily issue. It's something that comes up every now and then. But just before I answer that, let me get a bit nostalgic about the fact that way back then at the University of Ife, it was a good life. We had cafeterias that were functioning, and we had tickets that we took to cafeterias, and we were served food, good food. We dictated the quantity that we wanted. I cannot get rid of that fufu in my head, and the chicken, the size of the fufu and the size of the chicken in my head. And that was, guaranteed. We could eat, we had breakfast, we had lunch, we took dinner. Yes, and it was for very, very little amount of money that we spent. Of course, you went to school, and to be guaranteed that you were paid, you went straight, you bought your pack of tickets, meal tickets, and that told you that you could eat throughout the period. But that is, by the way, coming back to the khaki guys. Yes, it was a derailment. It was a derailment. Maybe if we had been allowed to make our errors as democratically permitted, if the system had been allowed without their interference, maybe our politicians, our leaders would have learned a few things. The military, of course, came in with their jackboats, and it's not that they were prepared for administration. It's not that they were equipped to put things right. Things were going at every point in time that they came. Let's face it. Things were not quite right, but they were always using that as an excuse to come. And when they came in, when you have power and there is no system to caution you in how to make use of such, you are likely to misbehave. And that was what we had in most cases. The constitution was suspended at every point in time that they came in, and they ruled by fiat, put up decrees. And I must also say that such periods of abrupt changes were also capitalized on by civil servants to wreak havoc. In other words, the military did theirs, and of course, civilians did theirs. We also had situations where some of this intervention were via the connivance of politicians that failed to gain access to power. And so things usually will go topsy-turvy. You probably have a few military administrators that did a few things. Most times these are things that were done for the cameras, but some of them did a few things. Some of them wanted to make a mark. Quite a number of them were young officers who were keen on impressing the man at the top, and they did a few things. But the fact remains that democratically elected governments, never mind whether a degree of rigging and all that went into their elections, but democratically elected governments were upturned. And those who you could not question or query were there. And when you have such a scenario, a man that you could not query, you could not question his decisions, so you probably just rely on whatever he did or his pronouncement, and then roll along with it. This affected a lot of things. This affected the civil service structure. It affected the running of government. It affected the political setup. It affected, just name it. Every other place was, I mean, these were affected. Of course, you also find out that because of the fact that politicians were misbehaving at such points, the era of such military administrations were publicly, openly welcomed by people out of frustration. People welcomed them because they have suffered some things over a period, and then you hear that announcement on radio. There is a degree of fear, there is uncertainty, but sections of the populace welcomed them. They felt, yes, good riddance to bad rubbish. But as usual, after a period, after the initial gra-gra, as you say in sports and pigeon, after the initial gra-gra, they go back to doing things the way they felt, and this has affected our growth. It has affected even the people's belief in governance. So you just find out that in our mentality, in our psyche, it has taken us a long time to outlive this. Unfortunately, also, politicians now hide under the fact that the intervention of the military has messed things up for so long, and they are just, I don't know, is it patching? Chief, this Igbo thing, I must learn that phrase or the saying.
I'm a patch on
Politicians now exactly. Politicians now find it easy to quote that. We are just patching. We are just military has messed things up another. But they've been away for some time, and it's high time we sat back. It's high time we told ourselves the truth that, listen, if you cannot do it, shift. Let those who are competent move in. Thank you. That is it for now.
Thanks, Gwoyeme.
You can hear you, Ali.
Thank you. You spoke about the psyche of Nigerians and how over the years during the military era, they've successfully bastardized the psyche, especially around governance. Many of us never really experienced good governance until we actually, move out of the country and see how a system works and see how, and that explains why many of us are here, hearing our views, and sharing our ideas on how things can be done differently. Of course, there are no saints here in this country. They have their own shortcomings, but it's a very strong system. I mean, across, advanced democracies, as we call them, they have functional structures that make the system works. A premier of a state just resigned yesterday. No one saw that coming. In fact, she was doing brilliant jobs, if I may say, in terms of fighting, combating coronavirus and the government response in the states. But yesterday, from nowhere, there was a breaking news, and she was gone because she was linked to a corruption inquiry. She has not been found guilty of anything, but she was linked to that corruption. you know, and then she felt that it wasn't tenable for her to remain in that office while that corruption investigation is going on. She didn't. No one saw that coming. She's gone, and they're going to have another replacement for her. That is the kind of system, and that is why we get our energy and sometimes the frustration to talk about some of these topics from. I'll go to Elvis now, and that same topic
Sorry,
I'll go to.
Wale, can I just say one thing for 5 seconds?
Okay, Chief, go ahead, please.
Look, you just talked about the resignation of the premier. That's the biggest, or one of the biggest problems we have in Nigeria is accountability. Nobody wants to be accountable. Nobody wants to be responsible. It's blame shifting, blame game. This is one thing that it's really, here, people are accountable. That's why it happened. Sorry, I interjected, but I just
No. Thank you. Thanks, Iwakaro. Elvis, let's try and go into some of the problems and which I'm sure we've spoken extensively in the last 12 months on this. I was surprised. Last week, I went through everything we've discussed. I think we can make about series of movies from what we've discussed anymore. Maybe that will be a project for us. We've really covered a lot of topics. So we want to talk about some of those problems now. In 1993, there was opportunity for us as a nation to do something right democratically. They annulled the election. Everyone is talking about 2023 now, which should be 30 years after Op 93. Is that a time for our redemption? What is your take on that? So that would be a question I want to hear from you, and I also hear from Dr. Vicky on that same topic. Is 2023 redemption? Can we still trust the affairs of this nation in the hands of APC and PDP in 2023? 2 minutes, Elvis.
Wally, well, if you genuinely believe that, and look, I'm speaking hypothetically now, then you have another thinking coming. I'll say you wake up and smell the coffee. Nothing, honestly, nothing different is going to come from either APC or the PDP. The status quo is, even if I said the status quo is going to remain the same, then that would be a fair, that would be a fair call. But guess what? It's going to get worse, because from experience, from growing up, my experience in Nigeria has always been, one government comes in, we complain about all the negative, all the bad things they're doing. You think the next one is going to get better? They come in, they do even worse. I have lost faith, Wally, unless, as Chief John mentioned earlier, Chief Okaro, unless we sit down and have that honest conversation around the table, and as we've always mentioned on this program, and sit down and have a conversation how we are going to live in this house, in quotes, genuinely talk about these things that are bothering us, and then finding a way at fixing these issues permanently. Otherwise, we're just going round in circles. Now, I know as a student, well, I studied back in the days. I did a degree in international relations and strategic studies. One of the things I learned in that course was, you might think I'm digressing a bit, but I'll narrow it down. You see, the war of asymmetry is the greatest kind of warfare anybody can engage in, because you don't really know where the enemy is. America fought that sort of war in Iraq. They came in with, all their arms. They came in with, they had boots on the ground, and they thought they were winning the war. Guess what? They lost more men after the war than they did during the war. And what was responsible for that? The war of asymmetry that these guys engaged in. And that's what you have in Afghanistan. Now, if I bring it back home, we're not fighting a war in Nigeria. With what Chief has said here, I'll tell you what, this is the way almost every Igbo person is actually thinking. We may not come out and do all the shouting and all of that. In our hearts, okay, we feel marginalized. We feel we're still being treated as bounties of war. That is how we feel, Wale. We may come out and gloss over issues and say this or that. Inside of us, every single one of us feel the same way until you come out and have this honest. I mean, I was listening to the president's speech yesterday, and he said something around, yes, we are happy. I'm ready to listen to genuine agitation, in quote. The likes of Sunday Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu obviously are not genuine agitations, and he's not ready to sit down with such. That's what I got from that statement, and have a conversation with this sort of individuals. But guess what? My president is happy to sit down with armed terrorists and bandits. He's happy to have a conversation with them. Tell me honestly how that will make someone like me feel, or someone from the other parts of the country. So until there is a genuine attempt at addressing these issues, you can twist our arms, you can spank us and tell us not to cry, but in our hearts, this is how we feel. This is how we feel. Somebody needs to actually do the right thing, sit down, have a conversation and say, oh, this is my child. This my child keeps complaining. Let me even listen to him and hear what his issues are. I listened to another interview yesterday on Facebook, and this guy, I've forgotten his name, he was saying the president, this is his view, not mine, is actually the cause of the problem in the country. How do you have a president who comes in and he tells you, I'm for everybody, I'm not for everybody, but I'm for, how did he even say it? I'm not for anybody, but I'm for something along those lines. It's very popular. We all know this. And then shortly after, the same man tells you, oh, I'm going to look after the 95% that voted for me, but the other 5 that didn't vote, I will deal with them in a different kind of way. You know, how do you think that's going to make this side of the country feel? So you're going to keep having pockets of these agitations here and there, and you think because you got the military might, you're going to shut everybody down. They will keep talking, even where they can't talk, in their hearts, in our hearts. This is how we feel, and it needs to be addressed, whether you like it or not. Anybody can call it whatever they feel, but this is the reality. And you know, this is something that really needs to be looked at if you want to have a country that is cohesive, a country that, you know, like we used to have. But as long as you're showing people, oh, you, for whatever reason, you're not part of us, I can sit down and talk with that one. The other one, I can't talk with them because they're nobody. You keep having problems, and it really needs to be addressed. But whether these guys are going to, you know, are going to offer anything good, Wale, I don't think so. Someone said to me, Nigeria is underdeveloping. There's no such English. I think I've mentioned it here before. And I looked at it and I actually thought, oh, this guy is making some sense. We are retrogressing. We are retrogressing. Everyone that comes in does something worse than the other one. So in plain language, simple plain language, I don't think, you know, we're going to El Dorado with whoever comes in next. If anything, it's going to be worse than what we have currently. In the Bible, I think, who was it? Was it King Ahab said, "Oh, my father chastised you with what was it? With something, but I'm going to chastise you with weapons." So with scorpions. You know, everyone that comes in is coming in with something worse than the other person has had. So yeah, plain and simple, I do not believe this is going to bring any change. The elections come.
Thank you so much, Elvis. And you know, no apologies for speaking on behalf of your people. You know what I mean? I would think that's the essence of any form of education that we have, to be able to advocate for our people in our own little way. That's what we can do. And you know, no apologies for that. Dr. Vicky, your take on all of this, and looking at the time, on your take on moving forward, 2023 and everything. What is your take, and what are your ideas on leadership, the lingering leadership question? What can we do differently?
you know that I can be, you know, I will try not to
I want to
go
hear you to
for
be very, very blank, blunt. I haven't had,
um
I haven't had that for some time now.
yeah, I'm trying to be diplomatic.
Okay, that's
All
good.
right. Um for for there's been lots and lots of problems and they are kind of on top of each other. Where do we start from? We need to start from, yes, having that honest discussions. Chief was quite little when the war happened, I believe. Elvis wasn't here when the war happened. It's been passed from one generation to another until the government, whomever is there, do something. Take people seriously. Injustice were done. Lots of horrible stuff were done. 3 million people were killed. What have they done about it? The properties looted, stolen from them. No apology, no nothing. In countries like Australia, the Aboriginals didn't stop talking with what was done to them decades ago. They kept talking about it. They kept yelling about it until Kevin Rudd that eventually said, "We are sorry." Kevin Rudd wasn't actually born when all the horrible stuff that was done to Aboriginals were done to them. But we realized they had to do something. He had to do something, and he did. That's gone down in the history as he was the one that said, "We are sorry." And in its own little way, has done some mending of some relationships. And I believe from that time on, whenever we have, any event, we acknowledge the owners of the land. That wasn't done before. Look at the Jews with Hitler and all they did to them. Every year, my husband is a fan of National Geography, History Channel. There's always something about what happened to the Jews. How many years ago did that happen? But they don't want anybody to forget, lest we forget. I'm not sure if somebody had apologized to the Jews or not, but they made sure that it's never going to happen again, ever. So wherever they are, economic power is something that they chase. I'm digressing, right? But I believe with everything that had gone wrong, unless there is a healing, and a healing can start with acknowledgement first. Yes, we did something wrong here. Please forgive us. Now let us sit down and talk about how we will make this work for you and for us. Acknowledgement, apologizing, and then honest discussion. This is my home here with my children. If I've done something wrong and I haven't actually done my part to say, I acknowledge that I've done something wrong, that I've hurt you by what I said, and I am very sorry, there's no way to move on. There's no way to move on. So, with what is happening in Nigeria, and it will continue to happen unless something drastic like this, and this will be a healing. The healing can start from here. So all those people now coming on to say they want to be the the next president, what's his name? You know, your Tinubu and all that kind of people, they are all joking. They are going to be worse than Buhari. Though nobody wants to be a prophet of doom, but you look at the history, you look at what has happened, unless they do what has to be done first, and then we can move on. And if they are part of the problem, how do you expect them to now be part of the people that will fix the problem? None of the people that want to be the next president now, none of them, their hands are not clean. I can't see any of them that their hands are clean. They are part of the problem. You can't be part of the problem and now say you want to be part of the solution, because your mates will remind you, we did this together. Unless you know, we won't let you do it, because you are going to open us up, and we don't want that. So to me, we just need to do it differently. And I've always said it, the way things are going, if we need somebody like our own Jerry Rawlings to do what needed to be done for us to get the process of moving on and being the giant of Africa that we are supposed to be. I'm not sure about you, Dr. Chief. The first day I stepped into South Africa, to Johannesburg, I was just like in horror that, my goodness, they say Nigeria is giant of Africa. So what is this one? This is Africa. But look at this. Look at this. And you won't believe it, Chief. I was in Heathrow, not Heathrow, this place in Johannesburg, you know, they are dumb. That was where I first, Ibro, yes. Ibro, yes. And I was like, oh my goodness, look at this. Water running, electricity 24/7. The roads are beautiful, cars. So they are calling Nigeria giants of Africa. And that was how long ago? That was 1994. And in 2000 and this year, we're still talking about it. For us to get to that point, we need to fix the problem. We cannot keep patching. We cannot keep putting Band-Aid on. We need to actually go deep down. Use antibiotics. Give injection. Fix whatever needed to be fixed. And then we can move on.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vicky. Analytical, straight to the point, blunt. And I think that's what we need when we discuss in Nigeria and the associated problems. So I'll go around the panel now, just for our final words. And I want us to give hope to Nigerian people for their perseverance, for their tenacity, for their continuous belief that things will get better one day. So on the final analysis, I want us to end on that note. I will start with Shiva Karo.
Thank you. Again, and I won't stop thanking you for bringing me, here to share my view. It's still my personal opinion, but before I answer that, I like what Dr. Vicky said. I think what we need in Nigeria is healing. It may sound very simple, but that's the truth. Olusegun Obasanjo came very close to reconciling Nigeria in 2000 when he commuted to retirement all those soldiers that fought on the Biafran side. I tell you, that was that would have really healed the wound if he was given the opportunity to continue. Anyway, that aside, you know, our problems, you know, when people are discussing Nigeria, the problems we have, we talk the periphery. We are just talking the periphery. There is a big elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. And that is the healing. We need to heal. It doesn't matter what, even if it's a simple sorry. But we have proud leaders, leaders with impunity, that think that they will rule Nigeria through the cabal system, and anybody that talks, they will shut that person down. Anyway, that's aside. My final word is, or my final statement, I have said it, Nigeria's problem is beyond leadership. Although leadership may be a co-founder though, but it's beyond that. We really need to look at the deep-seated structural and foundational defects that has been threatening the coexistence of all the nations or entities that make up Nigeria. Having said that, Wale, I still strongly have hope that if we find the right person with the right mind frame, we will get it right. We need to start teaching our youth Nigerian history. We can't continue to sweep things under the carpet, thinking that it will go away. It will not. Honest conversation. 1st of October should be a day that we all gather and sit down and talk the bitter truth. People will heal. In rehabilitation, there is a healing process. That is what we are lacking. But I still strongly believe that there is hope. But that hope we have had for 61 years. If it's a person, that person has already, finished his active life. He's going to go into retirement soon. So I don't want to end on an ugly note. I want to end on the fact that we are all brothers and sisters, for the fact that we have withstood all the, blunders, I would say, our leaders committed, our political leaders. I think there is hope that we can get it right once again. Thank you so much for inviting me to this show.
Thanks so much, Eva Carol. Thank you.
You're muted. You're muted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
No. I said I've listened with rapt attention to all this, and one can only hope for a better Nigeria. This is the only country that we have, and that we can proudly call ours. And so we all need to fix it. However, as much as I cannot cry louder than the bereaved, I can as well lend at least a handkerchief so that you could mop tears. People have always told me that if I wasn't Yoruba, I would have been an Igbo man. And I say that is very true. But somewhere deep down in me, the tradition, the culture of the Igbos fascinates me a lot. But I must also say that our Igbo brothers need to change tactics. Frankly, I think they should. There is a need for the Igbos, for starters, to unify. There is the need for the Igbos to stop killing themselves. There is a lot of bloodshed in that land, and it has to stop. And that is the honest truth. Now, you can also not shut down the economic base of a people. That is their strength, and you expect them to unify themselves behind your cause. There is the need to change tactics. There is no nation also that grounds education into fight a cause, and such nation does not regret it in years to come. If you must shut down, make it that when you open up, Nigeria will marvel at what you have done in the period of shutting down. It's like, okay, let's do this thing. Let's fix our land. Let's come together and fix this. And then show them what we are capable of doing. Don't shut people down for no reason. And families cannot go to the market, families cannot eat, and you expect them to be strong to fight your cause. It will not work. I am of the opinion that there are brains in the East, there are brains in Igbo land that can do marvelous things in this country. Show Nigeria what you are capable of within. Your governors need to be up and doing. And that is the honest truth. That goes for the other parts of the country too. But you have issues. You cannot be having so much large sums going into states within that region, and there's little or nothing to show for it. Your governors are not from the north. Your governors are not from the west. Your governors are Easterners. Let them do what is right. And then we will ape. We will now look and say, wow, these people are doing this much. Then Nigeria will sit up and respect you the more. I wish Nigeria the very best. We will keep working at it. We can't give up. That's my last word there.
Thank you very much, Yemi. And Elvis, please.
Elvis, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I think I was disconnected for a little bit.
Your final word, Elvis.
Yeah, Wale. Yeah. I guess this will be a topic for another day. But I just wanted to react to one or two things Egmont has said on the program tonight. Egmont, I'll tell you something. To say Igbos should stop killing themselves, that's a huge statement. However, we need to introspect and really have a look at the trend of things, the happenings, where all of this started off from. I'll give you a few instances. The prison in Imo State was taken over at some point by gunmen. They shot some prison wardens, officials, and then freed a number of prisoners as well. Now, I followed that event, and somehow, initially it was said, oh, yeah, it's the agitators, the IPOB boys. The governor was quick to make that assertion before the police even started their investigations. But shortly after, he came on air and recanted that position he had taken at the outset. The governor's country home was attacked at some point. To be honest, I do not think these boys have the capacity to undertake that level of attack, but that's a story for another day. All I'm trying to say here is, you could have a situation where you're giving a dog a bad name just to hang it. I'm not saying this, the perpetrators of some of these acts are innocent 100%, but there's a saying in Igbo land, and what that means is remove the monkey's hand from the soup before it turns into a human's hand. There is something that I cannot place my fingers on that is actually happening in Igbo land. Remember, even in Lagos State, the commissioner of police, or who made a comment the other time, that the Igbos were planning to attack Lagos. That was a ploy to knock heads. So don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everything you see. Some of all of this, there could be a big hand behind the scene playing all of this out. I'm not exonerating anybody, but again, I'm not going to vilify anybody 100%. I don't want to agree to the fact that Igbos are killing themselves. I refuse that statement, and I refute it very strongly. I do not believe that's happening. Whatever is happening, they know what's happening. Now, coming to the governors you mentioned, I'm from Imo State. We had an election that produced a governor from my part of the state, by the way, Governor Ihedioha. Within a few months, this governor was made to leave office. And someone who came a distant four, I'm not talking number 2, I'm not talking number 3, a distant number 4 in that election is the governor of my state today. Who put him there? And whose bidding do you think he'll be doing? The bidding of his masters who put him there, or the bidding of the people of Imo State who voted their governor into that position of authority? So that's a different, these guys are not there for the people. The people who put them there know what they are doing. It's similar to the Bretton Woods institutions when you want to take out a loan from IMF or wherever. I'm going to say it here. Sometimes, a lot of the times, they make you put those monies into areas that will not be beneficial for your nation. They make it, Australia, we started on this program here before. Australia has anti-money laundering law. I can't take out $10,000 without declaring it. But these guys take billions of dollars or billions of naira or whatever outside the country, and it gets accepted. So there is something happening. I can't place my fingers on it, but I do know that the guys who are ruling or who are in positions of authority they're not for the people, especially my state governor. He wasn't elected into power. He stole the mandate. Simple. He stole the mandate from number 1, from number 4, he's down number 1. Anyway, I'll go back to the discourse for the day. We might bring all of this up. I'm just going to finalize. I believe that Nigeria is still one nation today. It's still a miracle. God has a purpose for keeping us together till this moment. And until, I know I said it here, and I'm going to repeat it again, I am beginning to sound like a broken record. You know, there's another saying in Igbo land that ebe nwata na-ebe akwa na-atụ aka ma nne ya anọghị there, nna ya nọ ya. So if I hope you're writing these adages because I know you love adages. So I will translate.
You will teach me, Elvis. You will teach me. Don't worry.
When a child is crying and pointing somewhere, that's the Igbo adage I just gave you. When a child is crying and pointing at a particular direction, if his father is not there, his mother must be there. So that, you know, that people are agitating and saying all of these things and they're not happy, and it just means there's something wrong. There's something fundamentally wrong that needs to be addressed. That God has kept us up till this moment together as one nation is also giving us the opportunity to sit down and have, as I always say, that uncomfortable discussion. We'll look ourselves in the eye and tell ourselves the truth, and that's going to produce the best outcome. So that conversation is where I'm going to end my posit tonight. Is something that must be had. Postpone it. You can postpone an evil day forever, but it's going to come. It's either you have a conversation or you can get something else.
We will certainly need to sit and talk. But just one final word, one final question to Elvis. This number 4 man that you subbed the position, where is he from?
He's from Imo State. He's from Olu in Imo State.
Okay, I rest my case. Let's go.
No, he's from Imo State. I know where you got.
I'm not contesting any of the things you have said.
Of course, he has to be from Imo State.
The fact remains that Nigeria has been unfair to the East. Nigeria has been unfair to Igbo. Nigeria needs to apologize to the Igbos. Nigeria needs to sit down and talk. Right? But that we must not ignore the fact also that the Igbos themselves must unite.
The Igbos are united, Ebon.
Okay, look, I need to.
Okay.
I need
Okay.
to.
The Igbos are united, and that's the misconception people always have. You said the Igbos are not. That is not true. Some people say Igbos are not. Igbos they don't agree. If we agree, then we are dumb people. We have brains. That's why we can't agree. We need to dialogue. We need to talk. Everybody needs, and that's the system of government we run. Democracy started in Igbo land. I will lecture you another day.
Did you realize that? Did you realize that? Did you realize that I did not use the word agree? I said unite. There are two different things. There are two different words. I didn't use the word agree. I used unite. But if you agree, you are united.
We are united. We are united.
Okay, fine. That's okay. That's fine.
Okay. On that note, thank you, gentlemen. And on that note, that's the Nigerian we want. That's the way we roll sometimes. We hear our views. It is an intellectual discourse. We may disagree to agree, and that's okay. I'll pass over the baton to Dr. Vicky to close the show. Thank you.
Wow. This is why I love this show. A show where we can sit and talk honestly without holding back and without, boxing. We say the way we feel. There's nobody bankrolling this. So there's no one telling us what to say or what not to say. We say it. You take us to court, we'll meet in the court. But we say it. We say it the way it's supposed to be said. And there's nobody watching over us to say, or watching and just checking what we're doing. We're all adults, and I just love it when we're able to have this kind of discussions. So I just would like to say a very big thank you to Chief Okaro for joining us again this evening. We appreciate you. We love having you as, talking with us on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vicky. Thank you.
Yeah. And to all my regular panelists, I appreciate each and every one of you. Egboyemi, thank you so much. God bless you. And to Chief Edison Wachuku, my dear brother, thank you so much. While you're live,
Elvis must say something in Igbo, like wishing Nigeria well in Igbo.
Elvis, say something in Igbo.
I've given you enough, but I'm gonna say, let
me say, same to you. Same to you. It's okay.
Yes.
You're busy chasing.
Egbon, you two must say something celebrating Nigeria, wishing us, congratulating Nigeria. Say it in Egba language or dialect.
Which of you will understand that?
I will understand.
Yeah, I understand though. I live in Egba for 7 years.
Moki luwa Nigeria o eku odun eku yedun. Kolowo Olodumare ko je ki a jano torí akori si gbo poju. E je ka jano baba.
Maybe I should say something. Maybe I should say something in Ijesha dialect, if I can remember how to say it. I hope I said that well. Ijesha people don't scold me.
My phone is protecting here.
Wow, it's been a great discussion that we've had. And yes, we had this kind of discussion a few months ago when we had Pastor Luke joined us. It was quite heavy and all that. We've had it again this evening, and it's a discussion that we will continue to have, just like, the Jewish, it's still something that they talk about from time to time. So to all our viewers, we appreciate you. We have some people watching on Facebook Live, and there's been lots and lots of comments. Blessing Kola Day, Creative Josh, Tolu Felicity, Jani Kolade, and so many others. Even Omoga was here. So we appreciate you all for watching, and for all those that had commented about where they're watching us from. Expect to get your $500. I wish 500 naira airtime. Now $500, so now 500 naira airtime. So. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. It's good for us to catch up from time to time like this, and we will be back again next Saturday when hopefully, I think there's a topic that I would like us to actually have a chat about, and it's about DNA. We've talked about it, but I just want us to go really deep into it. There is somebody, a doctor, who just opened a DNA testing place in Lagos, and this guy's been receiving lots and lots of death threats for giving 70% discount. So why what is going on really? You know what I mean? So it's something that I would like us to delve into, and so many other topics. So let's catch up again. We'll put you into suspense as to what we're going to be talking about. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, everybody. Let's go and have a glass of wine before we go to bed. All right. God bless you all. Oh,
thank you.
Elvis has his wine already. All right. Thank you.
Elvis, next time. Elvis, next time, use Tombo.
Bye.
Bye. Nigeria's gone away to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and mind one nation.
It's LC the beat guy.